Hey everyone, hope y'all had a great weekend. Thanks for joining me on September 4th. And as always, we are not financial advisors and everything you see on here is for educational purposes only. Alright, let's get started with BTC. And a lot has happened since my last free update. So I think, yeah, we did break upward. We came down a little bit like how this pattern showed. Now, I told the group we need to break above the previous high to lock it in, right? We would need to start seeing this break upward to lock in this pattern because there's a good chance we could dump all the way back down. And for some reason, I still kept, a regular pattern just in case because there's times where, I mentioned back here, we've had this scenario where, it gave us a big, we were supposed to go sideways and then drop. But instead of doing that, it was supposed to go up, down, go sideways, and slowly start dropping. We actually had a big spike first, and then we talked about how, like, hey, you know what, it's gonna be a fake out, we should stop. Drop back down, and then kept dumping down. So that still played out. So, I talked about how that's a possibility, and that actually played out. It completely dumped all the way back down. We knew this was a strong reversal fib, telling us it's gonna drop back down. We thought we would hold here because this was also a reversal fib, but we broke below. As soon as we broke below, I talked about like, all right, cool, it's gonna give it all back. Now we almost touched our target of 25,300. So even though we went up, we talked about, hey, either way, even if we go up and we go all the way up, still need to come back down to the 25,300. We barely missed it, meaning this is still there. That's still a target because it didn't touch it. There's a little small gap before that. So I'm gonna remove this so there's not too much things in the screen, just to make it confusing. Or actually, no, I need that. I need to remove this because this didn't lock in because we didn't break above the previous high to show that, hey, it's going to follow this. But that was something that I saw could have happened, especially with a lot of people doing that. So I wanted to share that. But we kept this because this was the original pattern. And the fact that we dumped back down, we're technically like on high alert because we can dump all the way back down. Yesterday we talked about how we hit a strong reversal fib. If we close on this fib, tomorrow we drop. And right now we're pretty much dropping now. Yeah. Now we haven't touched, here's the interesting thing. We haven't touched the top channel yet. Like we've touched the bottom twice. This thing should have touched the top, but we didn't. Which is kind of in the middle. We are dropping down. But in the past, we know that, but it's a strong reversal fib, so we have to end in red, in a red candle. And in the past, the fib is always stronger than the channel, so if the fib says we drop down, we drop down. Now, one thing this reminds me of is that pattern I just showed you guys where, we're supposed to go sideways and then dump. So we did drop a little bit, which kind of lines up with this. But again, each one of these represents a few candles, so it did drop. So it is down here. It could still push all the way back up to there. Technically, we're on high alert, and we can dump out any day now. In Friday's market update, I talked about, hey, we should just go sideways over the weekend. Nothing should happen. Just go sideways. And that's literally exactly what happened. This is why I said, hey, go enjoy your weekend. Don't worry about the market too much. If anything interesting happens, I will post. But I did say, hey, we'll go sideways on the weekend and then dump. There's a good possibility we can dump out on Monday. So we're dropping now. Let's see what happens. See if this strong reversal can trigger some sort of sell-off, or at least have a big, healthy red candle like here, and we start seeing some, more drops, and then a big drop. We'll see if that pattern plays out. Again, when I post these patterns, all this plays out. Well, we wait for the pattern to lock in, and then the rest plays out perfectly. And then the last part is always a 50-50. So this is the part that we always pretty much get. And this is like a 50-50, right? So we know, hey, this can play out. We know it cannot play out. If it doesn't play out, it's normal. It's not considered a miss because we know it's a 50-50. But everything else here, we tracked it perfectly, including this big drop. So now we just have to wait to see if this is enough to start to drop back down to at least close out the 25,300. Even maybe, this is the maybe here, the 24,830. This maybe also was the reason this came back up because we had one of these white fib targets. So if it did it here, it's most likely going to do it here, and that could trigger a sell-off. and then the pattern play out. So that's actually going to be pretty fun to watch. The dollar dropped. I talked about how like on Friday I was like, you know what, this could be not Friday. I think it was like Tuesday or so or something, maybe even Monday. But I talked about how like, hey, this dropped enough. Like it could even start to retrace back up. Now we had these two little gaps here. This filled the first gap. Now we just filled the second gap, so that's out. Remove this target. We are dropping down a little bit, but that's normal. I think at 8:30 it could push back up, and we can finally knock out that 105. All right, finally knock that thing out. Cause it's been a while. This was such a big delay here. Like we should have gone straight up. They should have technically knocked it out. But I'm glad it didn't, because then we would be lost. Like, all right, we don't know where the dollar's gonna go to next. But 105's there. I do have an open target, account open target at what, 110. I know a lot of people are saying, oh, dollar's gonna die, dollar's gonna die. I don't know. The target says it has a 110, so that's interesting. I'll do just one alt. This is the free update. We do have Doge needing to come back down to 0.06035, which isn't that big of a drop. Yeah, like a little 5% drop. So, you know, that's well. Sometimes, a lot of times, a lot of times, you know, we use the alt as a clue of which way the market's going. Like if all the alts have a bunch of, you know, bearish targets, then we kind of know which way the market's going. If the alts have a bunch of bullish targets, kind of know which way the market is going. So, but right now I don't have too much. It's just a few like that. But other than that, we're waiting for Bitcoin to at least come back down to the dark blue. You know, there's times where it touches it twice, 3 times, a few times, but it needs to at least touch it twice. Here it didn't, which was pretty odd. But then it came down really hard because of that. So it's healthy for it to touch down that dark blue line a few times. Once it touches it the second time, though, that's literally your last clue of like, hey, you should be like, you know, the dollar cost averaging. Yeah, we could touch it a few more times, but the second time is the most important one because it needs to at least do it twice. So keep that in mind. And with that said, that's pretty much it for today. Again, we're just going to now watch it to see if we can drop down to the 25,300 and the 24,830. Let's see. I'm kind of glad it didn't hit it, though, because if it did, that would have lost a lot of its momentum to drop down, right? And then it would have been like, okay, cool, it can go back up now. Worst case scenario, we just go sideways and we'll be bored for the next couple days. But again, we're going to watch to see if it drops down to these two targets, and then we'll see what happens next. All right, I'll see everybody in the Discord. Now, if you're trying to get more information on the market, if you want to stay up to date with the market or just looking for a good community, in the description below, I did post my link to my website, which is tindicator.com. In here, you can find a link to Ko-fi or Patreon, which will give you access to the premium side of this channel and group. So I have 2 levels. I have that really stand out. You know, I have the peace of mind and I have the edge. And the reason I named these names is because it's kind of what you get out of it, right? On the peace of mind, you do get peace of mind when it comes to the market. You know, you're not going to be surprised. You're not going to be shocked with what's going on. You know, just the other day, I sent out an alert on a signal talking about, hey, the market looks like it's going to dump. Somebody like triggered something that kind of lets me know, hey, there's going to be a big drop. And, you know, 15 minutes later, big old drop happened. And then the same thing happened back over here. So nobody in the room's like, oh, surprise, oh, we dropped back down, right? And this is why I call it peace of mind, because you do get that peace of mind out of it. Then I have the edge tier, which the reason I call it edge, because you get the edge on the market, right? You're not just going to be blindly going into the market and not knowing what's going to happen. And I'm going to go over these tiers right now. So with the sorry, I almost said edge, but with the peace of mind, you get access to the crypto room here. Edge also includes this, but you just get a little more. So you get, you know, access to market updates. We have our general chat. We have our crypto chat where everybody talks about what's going on. We have daily play. This is where I post all of my stuff. So my stuff won't get buried in, you know, a chat room where no one can see it. For the edge tier, you actually get access to the Zoom scheduler. So you can actually schedule one-on-one Zooms with me so we can go over your portfolio, you know, certain coins you're interested in, you just weren't sure about it. You know, some people have had issues with their wallets. I help them recover that. I've had people who just want to vent. You know, sometimes we just talk about certain things and, you know, it helps them calm with the market, you know, so they're not
too upset with what's going on. You know, maybe they got into a meme coin that's down 95% or anything like that. So it's really cool, and a lot of my members love this. We also have the newsroom where we post newsworthy information. Planned orders is where you can see what people are buying or selling. We have our group zooms every now and then. Hidden gems room where people post unique coins that are just coming out. Passive income room for staking and all that stuff. We have a marketplace where people are buying and selling from each other. Tips and links in here, so there's a lot of links for like good cool YouTube videos that you can watch about stop losses, technical analysis. In here's where I always put the newest signal link, and the signal link is one thing I recommend for everybody, because this is where I'll send you emergency alerts. Like if I see the market's about to dump, I will send a message here that's separate from all your other messaging apps, so that way because a lot of people like to keep everything else muted, because sometimes people are posting too much, and this is the one that you can leave on, and this will let you know like, hey, this is emergency, like, hey, we're about to pump, we're about to dump, or hey, something big is going to happen. Then we have charts where you can actually see what people are requesting. If you're on the edge tier, you're allowed to actually request. If you are on the peace of mind, you can only view what other people are requesting, but here you can actually request all the coins you want to see. So I post them here, corresponding to the alphabet. And some of these will be like this. Someone talked about 1. Well, now you know that 1 has to drop back down to 0.013. So if you were looking to buy this coin, I would suggest waiting until it drops to that price before getting in. Because you don't want to get in and it's going to drop back down to this price. And now you would have wished you held off. So you get that advantage, you get that edge right off the market, because now you know when to get in and when not to get in. Another one that we were talking about, and I actually need to do a separate video on this because I didn't add it to the main video, but down here I mentioned, hey, so a member actually showed us this coin, and down here I mentioned, hey, you know what, this thing's about to take off, and it did take off. Once we were up here to this area, I was like, hey, you know what, this could probably be the top, and I drew this area here where we can drop back down to, and look, we barely missed it before it came back up. Now I'm going to update them on this shortly. And then down here we have, a place for woo-woo in case you're into conspiracy stuff or anything like that. We have a astrology room. We have a spiritual room. And then we have 2 other rooms right here. These are our little kept secrets. We won't go into that too much. We also have a free trading room. So if you know anybody that actually is into trading, also the link is in the description below. If you're on the edge tier, you actually get an additional room where it gives you additional coins instead of just the free ones. But yep, that kind of breaks down my 2 levels of the premium. So again, if you want to stay up to date, I suggest joining us. We have a really good community. Everybody helps everybody out here. Nobody FOMOs, nobody's upset, nobody is shocked by what's going on with the market. I've had members even tell me, like, sometimes it's kind of boring because we already know what's going to happen, right? There's not that like feeling of like not knowing what's going to happen tomorrow, right? It's like, oh, what's going to happen? Is it going to go up? It's going to go down? We kind of already know what's going to go, like, right? And if we know we're going to drop and it goes up, we know it's going to come right back down. So if you made it this long, thank you for staying this long, and maybe I hope to see you in the room. All right, bye.